William Dalrymple now joins us on the news track. In fact, his argument is that this is a far more significant trade route than even the Silk Route, which China is trying to push as its idea for the Belts and Road Initiative. So thank you very much, Mr. Dalrymple, for joining us from London. Absolute pleasure having you with us. Could you start by explaining to our viewers, as we look at this India, Mid-East, Europe corridor in the current geopolitical context, can you give us a historical context in terms of the ancient roots of this trading route? Mr. Dalrymple, welcome.
Sure. I think when people anywhere in the world think about trade between Europe and Asia, the first thing that now comes to their mind is the idea of the Silk Road. That's this concept of an overland route, very romantic idea of camel caravans laden with silk and spices crossing the Pamirs. And the traditional conception of this is something that links China with the Mediterranean, with the Roman world in the Mediterranean. But actually, the Silk Road is a very modern idea. It was only invented in the 19th century by a German geographer called von Richthofen. It only came into the English language in the 1930s and only really became popular in the last 20 or 25 years, and has in a sense been militarized by Xi Jinping and the idea of the Belt and Road, the idea that this is an ancient trade route that could be revived. While if you look at the classical period, at the time of the Romans, the big east-west trade route was nothing to do with China at all. It was with India, and it happened not over land, but over the sea, up the Red Sea. And what allowed Indian sailors and the Romans to come backwards and forth with surprising ease was the winds of the monsoon. The Tibetan plateau heats up in summer and it cools in winter. And this creates a very predictable wind pattern, which allows you to sail from India to the Red Sea, to the Egyptian coast, in as little as 6 weeks if you've got the wind behind you. You then have to wait for the wind to turn, but you can then come back when it does in an equally quick time. 5 or 6 weeks is all it takes to sail from Egypt to India. Okay. And at the time of the Romans, this wasn't just sort of something that a few explorers and intrepid mariners did. This was a major world economic route. And we have records of the Roman geographer and economist Pliny complaining that all the gold in the Roman world was bucketing out towards India, because he said he was a very puritanical ex-soldier, and he said that all these decadent Roman women want to wear silk from India, they want gems to cover their breasts, they want all this sort of foreign exotica. He's saying, why can't they just be happy with good, Roman wool? And he says that there were 250 Roman cargo vessels alone, leaving just one port a year in his time, and sailing to India. And the ports in India was Bharuch, which is modern Gujarat, Muziris, which is near Cochin in Kerala, and the Paducah, which is beneath modern Pondicherry.